you guys, and welcome to Nosy Bystanders Live. I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. Yes, I am aware I'm wearing the same thing from yesterday. No, I didn't leave the house, okay? Okay, what we're not gonna do is waste a whole bunch of clothes, okay? I just want to make that real clear so I don't need nobody trying to get into the comments and try to clock my tea, okay? That's what we're not gonna do. What we're not gonna do is come over here and be like, dang, Nosy, wasn't you wearing? Yes, I was wearing this yesterday. I'm fully aware I was wearing this yesterday. I'm also fully aware that I never left the house. So why should I change my clothes? So today we're going to be talking about this. This is an interesting story. And this is the reason why I want to talk about it, because although I don't cover politics over here, and no tea, no shade to politics, okay, unless it gets messy. And it's already getting messy. And this is why we're covering it, okay, because the politics is getting messy. So the story that I wanted to talk about today, and let me share my screen with you guys. Oh, it's a terrible picture of her. My bad, Kamala. Is this this is not the story, but she sits down and she talks with the Shade Room. That's actually the story. So I wanted to go over the Shade Room's interview with Kamala Harris and her position or her policies for what she's going to lay out for Black men and Black people in particular. And then I want to get to some of the rhetoric from the individuals online, because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation just floating around about President Kamala Harris. Regardless, listen, I'm gonna just make this real clear. Whether you like her or not, you got to vote for her. It doesn't matter. Okay. Take that from me. You don't have to listen to nobody else. I'm going to pull a Donald Trump. You don't get to listen to nobody else. Just hear my advice in words. And I'm really doing my hardest not to say the hard ER on some of y'all. Okay. But it's very much giving hard ER energy. Okay. So I'm going to try not to use the hard ER when I say this, but you have to vote for her, or it's the end of our democracy. I'm not being joking. I'm not joking. I'm not being funny. I'm not whatever. I'm using the blueberry bundt cake hand lotion because my hands is ashy. So I can't be very handsy in this talk with you guys until I put some lotion on my goddamn knuckles. Okay, so it will be the end of the democracy if you don't vote for her. It's that simple. I don't care how I don't care how you lather it up, flip it up, and lay it down. Okay. I also want you guys to know too that male voters who are coming out staunchly against her, saying, "Oh, I'm not voting for her. You know, she's not Black. She's got no policies for us. She's not doing anything about child support." We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that in a moment, because yes, Black men are on the internet right now saying, "What is she going to do about child support?" We're going to get to that. We're going to get to it. But I just want you guys to know, as informed voters, Black male voting populace doesn't affect the election one way or the other. The majority of Black men are voting for Kamala Harris. I want to make sure that's like the lead of the story. Okay. Not the stuff that's tucked underneath, but the majority of Black men are voting for Kamala Harris. There's just a small percentage of outliers. They don't make up swing voters, and they don't statistically make up the mass majority of voters who are going to switch the election one way or the other. Okay, so I'll make that really clear. The individuals who do make up those swing votes are white women. Okay, so don't worry, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are doing enough pandering to white women to get them to vote, but that is who the swing goes to. So whomever white women majority overwhelmingly vote for is probably going to end up winning the election, not Black men. Black men just want Black men who are staunchly against Kamala. Let me make that clear. Black men who are staunchly against Kamala Harris and her campaign do not make up enough of a voting block to do anything. Okay. They're just online, on the internet, loud and gripey, and they want to hold up patriarchy because they want to benefit from it. They finally want their seat at the table of patriarchy. That's it. Okay. So before we get into this story, and I'm going to play the interview with her on the Shade Room, because I think that's an important interview to get into. Let's see who's all in the building, because it's important to know. What's up, Kara? What's up, Mrs. J? Hello, Ray Bishop said, "I don't know if I want my president sitting with the Shade." Look, man, the Shade Room makes up 29 million followers, which a majority of them are under 30. I saw the statistics earlier today. The majority of the Shade Room followers are under 30 with high school diplomas, so they do make up a voting block. So it's interesting. It's important to talk to them too. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's also important to talk to them too. Hello, Kendra. Hello, Brianna. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Courtney J. How you doing today? Hello, Sincere. Hello, Brenda Love. Hello, Sheree. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Sheree. Hello, Callie. Hello, Anastasia. Hello. Oh, hey, it's Bloom. How you doing today, Bloom? Hello, Petty. Hello, is it Vakna? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Hello, T, all the way from Facebook. And Sincere said, oh, I miss you. Oh, miss you too. I've been right here, friend. What's up, Mio My? Hello, Mommy. Hello, Aurora. Hello, Marie. Hello, ERT said, I already voted for her. Me too. I already voted. So now I get to complain. Is it Kawan? It's the lesser of two evils. Is it Kawan Anderson? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Hello, Kawan. Hello, Aurora. And is it Naomi? Naomi? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Said I can't stand her. Why? We're going to get to that in a minute. Okay. Hello, Marie. Hello, Danny. Hello, Mrs. V. Hello, Valerie. Hello, I am that somebody. Hello, Robin and Ray Bishop again. And I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Is it Nyokazera? Nyokazera? Hello, how you doing today? And hello, Diane. If I missed you guys, I apologize, but I love you guys all. Oh, and I saw you just slid right in here, ADC. How you doing, ADC? So let's get to the story with Kamala Harris. She sat down with the Shade Room and she talked a whole lot of policy for Black men. Okay, so I want to get to that, and then we're going to break it down, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about everybody's fears about Kamala Harris. There should be no fears. She's just a lady trying to run for office. If your biggest fear is that she's just a DNC Democratic puppet, that's not a fear. That's reality. She is. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's our democracy that's up for sale. Okay? I'm not telling you this to scare you into voting. I'm not telling you this for any other reason. I'm telling you this because I am an individual who graduated from Elmhurst College, now known as Elmhurst University. By the time I graduated, they changed the name. Elmhurst University with a degree in political science and a concentration on nuclear weapons. So I'm not telling you this out of my left butt cheek. I'm telling you this because it's important. Okay? Democracy is what gives us the ability to argue and say all of these crazy things online. Do you understand that, right? That it gives us the freedom to do that. That is the importance of democracy. So we can argue about politicians. I don't want to live in a world where there's no room to argue. I don't want to live in a world where somebody strips and regulates the internet and what Donald Trump will probably plan to do with the internet, strip the internet of anybody having healthy civic conversations about democracy and our three branches of government and things like that. I don't want to live in that world. And I don't want to give Donald Trump the chance to do it. And if you don't think he'll do it, think again. So let's get to this interview and then we'll begin. So this interview is on the Shaderoom's website. We're just going to be playing the audio. Please make sure if you just join us on Facebook or YouTube, please just tap the screen if you can. Okay, tap the screen. Let's listen in.
President Barack Obama, he was campaigning for you in Pittsburgh before some students at the University of Pittsburgh, which is my alma mater. And he said some things that really ruffled some feathers in the news. He said, it makes me think you aren't just feeling the idea of having a woman as a president. You're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. We have not seen the same kind of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and community as we saw when I was running. So when you hear those words, I'm sure you were briefed on the situation. A former Ohio State Senator, Nina Turner, she came out on CNN and said, why are you, putting Black men up against the wall and pressuring them into something that possibly, they don't want to do if they want to vote for you or not. So my question to you is, do you think that what President Obama said was the right thing to say? I'm Justin Carter on ground here in Greenville, North Carolina with the Vice President Kamala Harris. She's announcing something big, not only for Black men, but for all Black people. We also talked HBCUs. We talked Beyonce. It's all coming up on a special edition and exclusive TSR News. Vice President Kamala Harris in the building. VP, are you with me?
I'm with you. It's so good to see you again, Justin. Thank you.
It's been so long.
Since January, really. I realized.
Yeah, it's been like several months. And January 2024, yes. You invited us for an Air Force 2 trip from LA to Las Vegas.
I remember that.
And it was just with Chef Jeff. We were talking about some policies that you're initiating, and now here we are. How do we get here? You smell good. You look good.
Oh, that's better than smelling bad. Thank you.
I know. You smell great. You look.
That was Shade, if you guys didn't know. So there's a news story running right now in People magazine. And I'm going to say this in the most direct way possible because it's important to know And it's not very funny, but it is kind of serious. So Donald Trump is failing to release his medical records. And that's important because we need to note that our president is going to be fit for office physically. Let's just take out, is the president, is the person who's going to be elected president mentally fit to run the job? The first question above all else is, are they physically fit to run the job? Well, Donald Trump is failing to produce his medical records or his physical examination, which they have to do typically every year. And because he's running for president, it's just a part of the norm for the White House for the president to get or the president person being elected nominee to go get a physical and submit your health records. Just so people know, the people, we should be informed, right? We're voting for you or not. We should know if you're healthy. Donald Trump failed to release his physical fitness because there's an article currently running in People magazine. When Donald Trump was in Tucson, Arizona, my old stomping grounds, when he was in Tucson, Arizona, he was on stage giving a speech. Well, over 48 individuals who were at the rally had to be rushed to the hospital, which I didn't even know. So 48 individuals were rushed to the hospital with chemical burns in their eyes. And people were trying to figure out, was it the studio, was it the arena he was at? Or what is the reason? Why do people have chemical burns? It turns out that aerosols were being used at the rally on stage where the individuals were, and it had been used at such a high rate, and it had caused chemical burns in these people's eyes. And individuals had stated there was this really weird staunch smell, and then they received chemical burns. Some people still not even getting their vision back. That is the veracity at which the chemical aerosols were being used. And then people started doing some digging. People magazine, and shout out to them, started doing some digging. They're like, Donald Trump suffers from flatulence, which is a gastro issue. And he just lets loose. He just kind of farts all over stages, all in the Oval Office, around people. There's tons of people, tons of former aides for President Trump, as well as individuals who have done press conferences with him, who said he has a noticeable odor about him. And so that is important to the voters. People need to know, why does the president have a visible odor? So when Kamala Harris talks about, well, it's better than smelling bad, she was making a pointed joke about, and these are real credible articles. They're not, this is not Salacious Tea. I know this is a Salacious Tea page, but that's not Salacious Tea. These are real stories from real staffers, from real individuals who have had press conferences with him, met him in the Oval Office, that he has a visible smell about him. And then the more strong story that came forward was in Tucson, Arizona, when those individuals had received chemical burns in their eyes from aerosols. So there's a real pressing, we need to know what Donald Trump's health is. It's important to know what his health is, because what's happening and what's going on with these aerosols. So she made that joke in reference to his visible or his audible, I can't even say it, what is like his nasal odor.
Right? Do you feel great? It has been a whirlwind for you.
I feel good. You know, listen, we have 23 days as of today until the election, and I am in these streets traveling and talking with folks. We're here in North Carolina. Yeah. It's very exciting. You know what's exciting for me is like the rally we're about to do this afternoon in states around our.
Is this Aries from, I can't see. I don't know if this is Aries from Messy TikTok with a cute little baby. Is this Aries, or is this different? Is this a different Aries?
Country, people by the thousands are packing these rooms, but the thing that I love about it is people of every different kind of background coming together. And there's so much about how I feel about our message and our movement, if you will, that is grounded in certain beliefs, including the fact that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And it's so important to me that over the course of this campaign, we must win. That's our first imperative, no doubt. But that we build up community. Yeah. Right? And coalitions. I think that's so important.
Mm-hmm. One big theme of your campaign has been freedom.
Yes.
Freedom, right?
Yes. Yes.
Freedom, I can't lose. I'm not going to mess up the words, and I don't want to get sued by Beyonce.
And there are a couple of versions that she has, right?
I know. Did you call up the queen? Like, how did that work?
She absolutely gave me permission to use the song. I love her, and
have you met her?
I have met her, but not since I've been running just now. Okay. But I have met her, and she's just very special.
Yeah. Talk about freedom and what that means to you. Why that song? It's just imperative. It's crucial right now what's going on in 2024.
I think that there is so much about what is at stake that is, frankly, the need for us to fight for the things that we hold dear, that we have always had to fight for, but must continue to fight for if they're going to be intact. And frankly, just to be very candid with you, I'm seeing.
Now, that's true. The Shaderoom has hired tons and tons of staffers from the Potter's house. That's why they never covered his story about his daughter stealing that baby, allegedly. Yeah. But she sat down with them. They do have a large, notable audience, so we have to discuss that. It is still part of the news.
Across our country, a full-on attempt by some to attack these hard-won freedoms and rights, right? The freedom to vote. In Georgia, for example, they passed a law making it illegal to give people food and water for standing in line to vote.
Okay, so let me get to this. A couple of your comments. I see the comments going, so I'm gonna have to start replying to them quick. This is from Marie Lena. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Said Biden didn't want to release his and Harris I'm assuming his health records, and Harris backed him hiding it. Very weird and hypocritical of the Dems. Biden is a lame duck. Dems hid Biden's health and then appointed Harris this election. How fair was that? It's not fair because, again, I don't know, because I don't follow political cycles. I just vote. But I'm just going to try to break this down for you as best as I can. So I don't know when and where it was asked by the media for Joe Biden to release his physical record, right? His physical where he goes to Walter Reed and he does a full physical. I don't think that would have come up in the cycle just yet. If it did, maybe I missed it, but I didn't see it. Okay. So according to you, he was. So let's just say he was, and they hid it. Technically, if it didn't come up in the cycle yet, like, oh, now that we have our nominees, let's go ahead and release the medical records. Joe Biden, correct me if I'm wrong, but he did not step down from his reelection until after Donald Trump finished the RNCs and picked his vice president. He took the nomination for Republican, and then he picked his vice president. I believe 5 or 6 days later, Joe Biden had stepped down. So I don't think it would have come up yet in that election cycle because typically health records, tax records, that stuff usually doesn't come up until both candidates have been officially picked. So maybe this hypothesis that you have came up within that short period of time. I didn't see anything like that. I think it would have been notable to see it. But again, you can't ask for someone's physical when it's not scheduled yet, or until both candidates have been picked. Donald Trump had just got picked before Joe Biden stepped down. So correct me if I'm wrong, which I think I'm accurate about that. The second thing you said is very hypocritical. It's not hypocritical. I just explained. Then he goes, he's a lame duck. A lame duck what? A lame duck what? What is he a lame duck to? Then he said Dems hid Biden's health and then appointed Harris. They did not appoint Harris. She still had to go through the elector cycle during the primary process, right? During the convention. So they backed her, but each state didn't have to choose her. They could have chose someone else. They knew she was the best option with the shortest amount of time. So it actually doesn't really matter. She is the nominee. That's it. Anything else? Okay, let's get to the next comment. This from Wayne says, no one on here can question her ethnicity. She's free. There was a time where Black folks were told who we are and what we're allowed to do. I think people questioning her existence is offensive and entitled. The supremacy attitude is BS. I totally agree. I don't know why people are questioning her Blackness. First, Black people or just people in general get upset when people don't claim their Blackness, right? Then when you have people claiming their Blackness, for example, Cardi B claims her Blackness all the time. She's a Afro-Latino. And then people want to drag her. She's like, but aren't you guys mostly mad when dark-skinned or Afro-Latinos or anybody, or light-skinned Afro-Latinos or anyone from the Latin American community don't claim their Blackness? I'm claiming it, now I'm being dragged for it. Kamala Harris is claiming her Blackness and she's being dragged for claiming her Blackness. I've never seen anything like it in my life. But we sit around on our hands and we completely allow Candace Owens to just denigrate her Blackness, and we just sit there and just let her. Yeah, okay. This is from Tam Gar, said Trump is going to win because of the anti-woman, anti-black woman movement that's been highly spoken podcast and spoken about for the last 4 years. I'm not a pollster. I would love to be a pollster, but I'm not a pollster. And so I don't want to give my like political thoughts on that. But the fact that we're in a close election and Donald Trump is the candidate, like the fact that the election is close is mind-boggling. But again, it has nothing to do with that small percent of black men who are not voting for Kamala Harris. It has nothing to do with them. Only anywhere between 8 and 10% of black men are going to vote for Donald Trump. You're just hearing more from them, but they don't make up the electorate. It is overwhelmingly white women who need to be swung in order for Kamala Harris to win this election. That is it. Black people are going to vote for Kamala. Overwhelming majority, the other 90% of black men are going to vote for Kamala. Black women are going to vote for her. Liberal white women are going to vote for her. Liberal white men are going to vote for her. And more than likely, moderate white men and women are going to vote for Kamala. It is a small portion, but a very mighty portion of suburban white women who Kamala needs in order to be able to win this election. So I don't want to say that Donald Trump could win, but that is the swing she needs. That is what she needs. Okay. Let me read some more of your comments. Oh my, there's a lot of comments here. This is from, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'm gonna do my best. This is Sean Draka. Say your people. You said I'm interested, very intrigued why you, who me, feel so entitled to a whole race. Hold on one second. A whole race. We wouldn't even vote for you if. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to me? I need to know who you're talking to because you're using a lot of yous. Okay. You said we wouldn't even vote for you if you had her history of foolishness. She is a snake, like Obama. Oh, okay. We're talking about Kamala. Okay, we're back on track with Sean Draka. Okay, like Obama was, and will use his race to get in office and change platform to agenda he knows his followers never would have supported. But needed more votes, like needing the gays. Oh my. Now he's supporting their cause because out of need. Wow, that's a loaded statement there, Sean Draka, or Mrs. Lott. I'll call you Mrs. Lott. I feel like you're old, so I'm going to call you Mrs. Lott. I don't know where you guys are getting your. I don't know where y'all getting y'all news from, okay? But if you're getting your news primarily from Facebook, I'm gonna need y'all to take a call. I'm gonna need y'all to take. I need y'all to take a quick break, okay? I need y'all to get off the internet, okay? I'm gonna need some of y'all get off the interwebs, okay? I'm gonna need some of y'all to get off the interwebs because some of y'all sounded like you're getting your news primarily from social media, and you're supposed to be getting your news from print media that allows you to turn the page. I don't know where y'all getting y'all news from. Hey, I'm getting concerned. Because again, I don't doom scroll and I don't read a whole lot of like crazy nonsense on the internet. So I typically just get my news from print media, The Economist, from Reuters, from, stuff like that. So I don't know where you guys are getting your news from or your news sources from, but I need y'all to take a deep breath in and just realize like these people are not actual demons and lizard people. These are real people with real lives trying to run a country. Refer to Kamala and Barack Obama. These are not lizard people, in puppet suits brought to you by demonic occult. I don't know what goes on the internet, but I think some of y'all are getting some of your news from real bad faith actors. Okay. So I'm concerned, but we're going to go back to this clip. Okay.
Vote, which the hypocrisy abounds. Whatever happened to love thy neighbor? You look at the freedom to make decisions, for a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. The freedom to just be is under attack in so many places. And the freedom to be safe from gun violence, right? And so there is so much about what's at stake in this election that really is about fighting for freedom, because the difference between me and my opponent, the former president, Donald Trump, couldn't be more different on so many of these issues. And And so I'm so proud, and it always just gives me an extra pep, because Beyonce's Freedom is my walk-on song in all of these rallies. And
did you guys share a moment, you and Beyonce?
I mean,
what was that conversation like?
She and I have. I'll tell you, the last time that I saw her was a couple years ago at BT event. And
Me too.
I mean, her mother, though, I've been seeing a lot recently because Beyonce's been on tour.
Hi, you guys. Thank you for joining us. We're listening to Kamala Harris's sit down with the Shaderoom, and she's just discussing a couple of topics, but she's going to start talking about her initiatives for Black people. And that's the point we're going to get to. But right now, she's talking about Beyonce.
She's been doing her thing. Tina is so amazing.
Woman of the Year, Glamour.
Yeah. She's very special. She's very special. She's been supporting me for years. And she actually, the last time I talked to her, she was organizing hairstylists and women who have salons and, who are incredible small business owners to get involved around getting out the vote.
Speaking of getting out the vote, you guys are on an HBCU tour.
Yes, we are.
That's amazing. Yes, come on, HU, you know.
You know. In fact, I was with a group of incredible, distinguished men last night in North Carolina, and we were all, because they were all, there to support my candidacy and to talk about there a lot of them are business owners. But then, I'm not going to say we digress, but we definitely got into it about who went.
This is a really good question. So the best news source, there's two. I read the Associated Press, I read Reuters, I read The Economist. Those are like staples. Those are things that I read just so I can just catch up to see what y'all talking about. Even though this page doesn't primarily talk about politics, I do talk about politics a little, but not very often. The best news sources to get like what's happening in America or just what's happening in the world. Well, there's two that I really like is PBS NewsHour. There's no commercials, just media. Okay. It's just, they're only funded by the Department of Education and public broadcasting. That's it. Those only two places. And the other place would be the BBC. If you don't care about or if you care about unbiased news, the best place to get your news source are people who are not governed by the US. And the reason why that's important to listen to the BBC is because the BBC is not regulated by the First Amendment. So if someone comes out of Washington and says, hey, I'm going to tell you the salacious story about, this campaign finance laws, and I got all the receipts, they can't be hushed if they take it to the BBC. And the BBC, and you're also protected by whistleblower laws, and the BBC can't not publish it. They're like, we don't care. We have nothing to do with American politics, so we can publish whatever we want. A lot of people listen to 60 Minutes Australia, which is also another really good news source. So probably those three. So PBS NewsHour, the BBC, and 60 Minutes Australia. Those are probably the three best news sources out. PBS NewsHour being in the U.S. and the other two being outside of the U.S., not governed by U.S. regulatories, First Amendment, anything. They could just really cover any story that's brought to them. And they're also very, very well vetted. So if you're listening to any of those three, you're probably going to get some of the best news and the most accurate news. So those are like the three best. Where? Oh, no, never mind. Sorry. That was the Coach store. So they sent the sales rep. I buy a lot of Coach, y'all. The sales rep sends me texts on their sales. They're like friends and family sales and stuff. So that's her texting me. I was like, oh, I am due for a new wallet. Okay, let's get back to that. So I hope that helps you with your news stories or your news sources.
To which school?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
And had a healthy level of disrespect for each other.
Well, this next question might be, a little controversial. So if you didn't go to Howard, is there another school?
I can't imagine a world like that.
Would you be a Spelman? Would you be a Spelman girl? Would you go to FAMU? They're very prideful down there in Florida.
And they should be. And there is a reason that Howard is called the Mecca. Ooh. And I'm very proud to be a Bison. See, but we all have fun with each other. But you know what? We have fun with each other because here's the thing that we know, all of us, you mentioned all the schools, whether it be Spelman, FAMU, Morehouse, Shaw, all these schools. Mm-hmm. we have fun banter among us that.
Okay. I saw this question from Alexis said, who are you voting for? I'm voting for Kamala Harris because I care about our democracy. I don't care too much about a couple of policies that Kamala has because I already know Democrats don't pass. They pussyfoot a lot, so they don't really pass comprehensive policy, but they keep the policies that we have in place, which I like. Right? I like tax credits. I like expanding the middle class. I like those policies, and those policies are overwhelmingly good for us. What the U.S. needs is 16 solid years of Democratic presidents to get the country back in line. And every time these goofballs keep coming out, listening to all kinds of garbage on the internet, voting for Republicans, you're only taking us back 8 years. So every 4 years a Republican gets elected, we go back 8 years. The United States needs a redo. And in order to get that, you need 16 solid years of Democratic leadership. That is what you need. Okay. And the proof is in their policy, and the proof is in how the economy runs under Democratic leadership. It's stellar. The last time the United States was in a surplus was under the Clinton administration. And as soon as George H.W. Bush, whatever his name is, the Jr., got in there, he completely wiped out that surplus like that quick. Okay. And had 9/11 never happened, he would have never got reelected. I guarantee you that much. Okay. So every time a Democrat is in office, the economy booms because it takes 4 years to clean up the mess of the last guy and 4 years to actually get us somewhere. And then bam, ignorant people get back to the voting booths, and then they vote for Republicans, and then we're lost all over again. So we need 16 solid years of Democratic leadership in Congress in order to be able to get the United States back in. So I'm obviously voting for a Democrat because I care about the economy. I care about all those good things and all those good things we get from Democratic leadership, right? Regardless of if I like Kamala Harris or not, it's not my job to like her personality. I think she's funny. I think she's actually likable, but it's not my job to like her personality. It's my job to save myself. Okay? It's my job to save myself. And I don't understand why people are not getting that. We get on the internet and we cry and we gripe and we say, oh, Kamala's not black. Oh, Kamala is this. Oh, Joe Biden is that. Oh, Obama is this. Oh, Hillary Clinton is that. Oh, Bill Clinton is this. You guys say all of this other stuff, but you don't even understand that you have the freedom to say it. If you were living in the People's Republic of China, you would be dead saying some of the crap that comes out of y'all mouths. Not you, Alexis, but the individuals out here talking all these crazy cockamamie conspiracy theories. You would be dead people walking. President Xi would never let you get on the internet saying all this crazy cockamamie stuff about him. He banned Winnie the Pooh because people who were dissidents of the government in China were comparing him to Winnie the Pooh. And he banned all likeness imagery licensing from Disney simply because people said he looked like Winnie the Pooh. We say Joe Biden looks like all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's not coming on here banning Disney characters or putting people in jail. He's not doing that. So the freedoms that we have are very close to being lost in America. And a lot of you take your democracy for granted because you've never actually had to live somewhere without it. I implore you, if you don't like how America is run under Democratic leadership, I need you to go to a very restrictive nation with restricted internet, with gulags on the streets getting ready to house you up and put you in work camps, just looking the wrong direction, or living in a country where it is glorified to snitch on your neighbors so you can get extra rations like they do in North Korea. Innocent people in internment camps, building nuclear whatever. So it's the fact that we live in this country and we have all these freedoms to say what we want to say, and we don't realize that we're this close to electing Donald Trump, and he's going to take all of that away from you. and you have been stuck in your mind thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to bash Kamala and vote for Donald Trump and everything will be right as right. No, it won't. No, it won't. He doesn't care for you niggers. What part of that are you not fucking getting? And the moment he can round you up and send you somewhere else, he is. It's that simple. It's that simple. He's going to say whatever he's going to say to get elected. And then when he's done with you, and I'm talking to the N-words, I'm not even talking to white people, I'm talking to N-words, then you're going to be shipped off somewhere else. He's going to break down stricter laws on all kinds of stuff, allowing for the 10th Amendment to just be expanded to the states, and the states are going to round you niggas up and put you in jail. He's going to expand grants and all kinds of projects for larger prisons to be built. And you're wondering, well, how did I get in jail for a parking ticket? And why can't I seem to get a fucking hearing? It's a parking ticket, and you're spending 2 years in county jail for a parking ticket. Y'all playing with y'all. I'm not playing with my democracy, okay? Y'all can play with your democracy if you want to, but I'm not playing with my democracy. America's not perfect by any means or any shape of the imagination. It could be much better. We could be donating much more money to climate science. We could be doing a lot more for Black communities and small businesses and struggling businesses. We could be doing better with housing. We could be doing better. But I want to be able to live in a place where I can fight for better instead of fighting for freedom. Or as a woman, according to JD Vance in a previous interview he just did, who said, well, I think women should take pregnancy tests before they catch flights out of the state. That is the level of inception that they want to do to women. Treat us like experiments with our bodies and force us into giving birth and forcing children to give birth and forcing children. The way they're rolling back child labor laws is insane. The way that these Republicans are fighting in southern states to lower the age of marriage and consent for children. Y'all can play with y'all democracy if you want to, but I'm not playing with my democracy, and I'm not taking a pregnancy test to get on a plane. I'm not doing that. So y'all can play with y'all if you want to. Just know I'm voting for Kamala Harris, and I promise you this much. In words with the hard ER. At the end of this election cycle, if Donald Trump becomes the way I'm gonna hunt some of y'all down. If Donald Trump wins this election, the way that I'm gonna hunt some of y'all down and mow you down with my Mercedes. And I'm not joking. This is a real, and I'm telling you this as somebody who has studied political science. I'm not telling you this as a person who's like, oh, these are just my thoughts. This is what I know to be true. We are this close to the end of US democracy. The ability for me to even just sit here and argue with you is this close to being finished. So vote crazy if you want to. But thank you for that question and this long-winded response. Let's get back to this video.
Okay. There was a poll on Saturday. It said that almost 80% of likely Black voters would vote for you if the election were held today. In 2020, though, it was 90% of Black voters overall. That was from the New York Times and Siena College. And then in 2016, they also had a poll, the Pew Research Center. They said 81% of Black men voted for Hillary Clinton, 14% voted for Trump. In 2020, though, that number jumped 6%. So 87% of Black men voted for Biden, 12% voted for Trump in 2020. So when you hear those numbers and you're seeing, in the polls, and you're seeing Black men aren't as, quote, excited or fired up for you, how do you respond to that?
Well, that's not my experience.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. One, that's not my experience. Two, election day has not arrived yet.
Okay.
And the third point that is probably the most important point is this, when journalists ask me this question, I often will say to them that let's be clear that your underlying premise is not an assumption that I'm supposed to have black men in my back pocket in terms of their vote, and that I should be taking that for granted, because I don't. Black men are no different from anybody else. They expect that you have to earn their vote. And that's why I'm out here doing the work that I'm doing about talking with folks, listening with folks, because I'm running for president of the United States. And it is incumbent on me to earn this support. And that is why I'm talking with folks about the work that I have done in my career, whether it be in particular as vice president, what I've done to put more billions of dollars actually into community banks to increase access to capital for small business owners. Even before I was running for president, I convened a bunch of black small business owners, all who were men, and I purposely convened them. I brought them into my ceremonial office at the White House to have a meeting about what their needs are and to make sure that they have the information about what's available to them in terms of financing, capital, and access to capital, support for what they want to do in terms of building or growing their business. So that's the kind of work I will continue to do. But here's the other thing that I think is equally important, is pointing out that there are two very different visions for our nation that are being presented to voters right now. On the one side, you've got Donald Trump, who wants to take us backward. Donald Trump, who, let's not forget, when he was renting his apartments and his property, refused to rent to black families. Donald Trump, who, as it relates to
and just to be clear, Donald Trump had to be sued for housing discrimination because he wouldn't rent to black families, even though they were high middle class income earners in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and 2000s. Just to make that clear, that's not hyperbole. That's real. That's real case law. Just so everyone can just be real clear about Donald Trump and how he feels about UN words, hard ER, okay?
5 young black men, they were actually teenagers and Latinos, the Central Park 5. He took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for their execution. They were innocent. Donald Trump, who referred to the first black president and suggested, remember the birtherism lies, that he couldn't have been born in the United States. Donald Trump, who in his Project 2025, the various things that would happen would include allowing it or making it easier for companies to not give workers overtime pay. We capped the cost of prescription medication at $2,000 a year for seniors and capped the cost of insulin at $35 for our seniors. That's our grandparents, our parents. Black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes. His plan would eliminate that cap. So part of the reason that I am out here talking with folks, listening to folks, is to make sure that I am communicating and letting them know about the real contrast that is being presented. Because my bottom line is this. I know the power that people have to make a difference. And I respect that power. I'm out here doing the work of earning then the vote so that we can get to the job of continuing to move forward. And for me, that is about pushing for an opportunity economy, which is about tapping into the ambitions and the aspirations of folks and doing the work of investing in community, investing in industries, strengthening our economy, and giving people dignity in the process.
Now, you have a friend. His name is Barack Hussein Obama. You know him?
I do know him. I do.
He recently, in Pittsburgh.
President.
Let's get it right.
Yes.
Yeah, President. President Barack Obama. He was campaigning for you in Pittsburgh before some students at the University of Pittsburgh, which is my alma mater. And he said some things that really ruffled some feathers in the news. He said, "It makes me think you aren't just feeling the idea of having a woman as a president You're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. We have not seen the same kind of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and community as we saw when I was running. So when you hear those words, I'm sure you were briefed on the situation. A former Ohio State Senator, Nina Turner, she came out on CNN and said, why are you, putting Black men up against the wall and pressuring them into something that possibly, they don't want to do if they want to vote for you or not. So my question to you is, do you think that what President Obama said was the right thing to say?
Let me tell you, I am very proud to have the support of President Obama and that he is out traveling to talk with voters about what is at stake in this election. I'm very proud to have his support. What is also important is, one, to understand, like, as I said, I intend to earn the vote of everyone, including Black men. Two, pay attention to everything that President Obama talked about, because he also talked about at length the danger of Donald Trump. The danger of Donald Trump in terms of somebody who has said that they would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, somebody who has referred to Black immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, legal immigrants, as though they would eat their pets.
Yeah.
Constantly perpetuating tropes. Remember, Donald Trump, who said in Charlottesville, there are good people on each side. So I think it's really important to focus on the stakes of this election. And there are two choices. And I ask everyone to look at the background, look at the work, look at the words, to have a sense of how you then choose to use the power of your vote on Election Day. But there is a very big difference between Donald Trump and how I will be president of the United States. And
no, she's right. You have to be, they're quite foolish to vote for Donald Trump. This is from Marie. She said, typical Democrats for you. They don't realize Republicans don't use fear to vote. Okay. If Republicans don't use fear to vote, then why would Donald Trump blurt out that Haitian migrants were eating cats and dogs? If they don't use fear to vote, Republicans specifically, why would Donald Trump say that individuals who are seeking asylum in the United States are rapists and tell suburban women, white women, that they're going to come to your neighborhoods? I just want you, Marie, okay? Because you're already too far gone, and more than likely it's because you're probably suffering from some sort of mental health disorder, most likely schizophrenia or paranoid schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, bipolar 2, because only an individual who was not in their right mind would make these type of decisions, right? Individuals like you are the easily suggestible crowd, as they usually say in polling. You're the easily suggestible crowd. All it takes is for someone to say something that strikes a nerve in your brain, and you're already too far gone. Okay? I promise you, you're not a voter anybody is waiting to swing. You're not. So this conversation isn't for you. Okay? So you're a bit far gone. We can't help you. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I don't even pretend to be one. Okay. I'm not a psych ward, and I'm not some really fancy place they send you to upstate New York. So you're going to go have to take your mental health disorder, which is what you're suffering from, a mental health disorder, and you're going to have to take it somewhere else. Take it to Fox News, take it to OAN or whatever they call it. Take it to Ben Shapiro. I don't care. Okay. But you're not convincing anybody over here that you're mentally well when you're not. The fact that you could even type a sentence like this, which is grammatically correct, but the fact that you could type a sentence like this means that you are so far gone mentally, you have no concept of what it is Republicans are doing right in your face. They're not even pretending to say Haitians are eating cats and dogs. They're telling you it, and you're saying that's not a fear tactic. That's a fact, even though the entire state of Ohio's legislature, the Governor Mike DeWine of Ohio, the mayor of Springfield said this is categorically incorrect. The ASPCA of Ohio said it's not true. Neighbors, white neighbors said, please stop talking about our friends and neighbors who are Haitian migrants here. It's not true. Everybody in Springfield, Ohio said it wasn't true. But yet you and your mental health disorder completely obfuscated that whole sentence and said, that's not a fear tactic, even though it's categorically false. So we got nothing else for you here, Marie. Good luck, Godspeed. Okay, shake your motherfucking Xanax bottle on the way out because we ain't got nothing here for you, friend. Okay, you are too far gone for us to care. So let's continue to listen to the rest of this interview with VP Kamala Harris while she sat down and talked with the Shaderoom.
And I cannot impress upon people enough that this is somebody, Donald Trump, who intends to take us backward. Look, this man won't even debate me a second time. He won't even debate me a second time. He didn't do the 60 Minutes interview, which I believe every presidential candidate for president of the United States has done. He will not take up the important responsibility that every presidential candidate has done of showing their medical records. Okay?
Which
I think which I have done. Of course I've done it.
Yeah.
I have done that. I have challenged him to another debate. I have given up my medical records. I did the 60 Minutes interview. And one has to ask, what is Donald Trump trying to hide? What is his staff and his team trying to keep from you? And it may be the fact that, like the people who work closest with him, his chief of staff in the White House, his national security advisor, his secretaries of defense. Recently, we got the report about General Mark Milley, who all in some have basically said Donald Trump is unfit to be president of the United States and is a danger.
Yeah.
And
that could a lot of that could be leading to his health. I think Donald Trump is a very sick, physically sick man. He doesn't eat well. They've been reporting on Donald Trump's eating habits for the last 30 years. All he eats is McDonald's. He doesn't trust the cooking because he thinks everyone's trying to poison him. Honestly, I'm telling you the truth. He thinks everyone's trying to poison him. So he only eats fast food and Diet Coke. He literally doesn't eat anything else. He literally doesn't eat anything else. So he has a really poor diet, high in saturated all kinds of stuff, and he won't produce his medical records, which means that since he's been out of office, he's probably been eating like crap and living like crap, and and that flatulence, and he smells awful. And he also smells awful, and that's not funny because old people do stink, but like his is bad, and you know what I mean. And so like I think that's something that should be talked about more. And shout out to People Magazine for publishing that article about Donald Trump's notable stench. They said he smells, This is from Cameron. I hope I'm reading your name correctly. Carmen. Sorry, Carmen. You said, I'm not sure if the medical record thing, if it's mandatory, he has to. If it's not mandatory, then why would he do that? Because and that's actually a great question. Thank you very much, Carmen. It's not mandatory. It's customary, right? So it's customary for individuals who are running for general elections, like President of the United States, to produce their medical records because it gives the voters information they wouldn't otherwise have. Would you vote for a person who had stage 4 liver failure? Probably not. You're like, well, I mean, this guy's not going to be there long. And so and the person he picked, I don't really know much about the person running with him, right? So it would probably give you more information as a voter, whether you want to vote for someone who's sickly. And that's just regardless of their party. It could be independent, Republican, could be part of the Green Party or a Democrat, it doesn't matter. A voter has the right to know who is running for office, and literally every facet. That's why individuals who run for office typically have to make sure, or specifically when the RNC and the DNC do all their vetting on the person that is going to win that nomination, they do a good deep dive of vetting because they want to make sure that that person is up for the task. So when news stories come out, you're like, oh, Kamala Harris was cheating on her husband. It's like, that's categorically false because where is the person claiming it, right? That's why the DNC and the RNC do all that vetting, right? To make sure that that person is in tip-top shape, that they don't have past due taxes and all those other things. Otherwise, it will become a salacious story. But you as a voter have the right to know the individual you're voting for is going to make it those next 4 years or beyond, right? So this is a great question. Although it's not mandatory, it is customary, and we've been doing it in the U.S. elections for a long, very long time. Since FDR, I think we've been looking at the president's health records, and it's important. I want to know. I want to know if my president's going to survive the next 6 weeks, or the person I'm going to vote for. Otherwise, I won't vote for them. I may not vote at all, but at least I was informed. Do you understand? Does that make sense? I hope that answers your question. This is from Chandrika said, Ozempic working for everyone else is going to work for him. Who? Donald Trump? This is from Parker. I want to say Parker. You said smell bad. How we know this? Well, if you rewind back the video, but I don't know if you guys can on Facebook, but earlier in the video, in the first part, we were talking about an article written by People magazine that had discussed Donald Trump had a rally in Tucson, Arizona, and individuals had suffered from chemical burns in their eyes. Turns out aerosols were being sprayed while he was on stage, and the individuals parked behind him, usually like they do the photo op and they've got the whole like people behind you, had suffered from chemical burns in their eyes. Some of them still not receiving their vision back from all the aerosol spray that was being sprayed. And it turns out that other individuals and staffers who had worked with Donald Trump closely with him in the Oval Office stated that he had an issue with an odor, like flatulence, like farting, like stuff like that. And those are real reports. They're not fake. I wish it was. I'm sorry. I hate that this is part of our news cycle, but it's not fake. Those are real news stories from individuals. So yeah, he has an issue with his gastro. He's got a gastro issue. Yeah, hope that helps you out. This is from Dre Runt said PPP law. What does that mean? Oh, this is from Marco Hill said, not old people. My granny still uses her perfume powder. Ooh, child. This is from Namia. I hope I'm saying your name right. Said his diet definitely explains his issue with flatulence. Exactly. His adult diaper isn't changed regularly. I'm not entirely sure. This is from Carmen said, you make a good point, which leads me to ask, why is it not mandatory? I don't know. I don't know if you can make that mandatory. I think it would have to pass through like the Congress, because it deals with election. So I don't, again, I know I have a degree in political science, but I don't really know how rules are made for election, like specific rules are made. I think they would have to create like the way that they do with like campaign finance laws. Like there is a branch where they discuss like politicians can of money and make sure the money is being spent properly. Maybe they should just make an office for presidential health, that's mandatory. I don't know why it's not mandatory, but maybe because it's so customary and because so many people who have run for office have turned in their medical records, we've never really seen this issue. So a lot of these things that we're saying, well, why isn't this mandatory? Why isn't that mandatory? It's because it's never come up before. We've never had a president hide his taxes. We've never had a president hide his health. We never had those things. You know what I mean? So when it starts to arise, we get questions like yours, like, why is it not mandatory? It's a great question. It probably should be. This is from Parker said, and if he's elected and something happens to him, we definitely don't want JD Vance stepping in. Precisely. This from Sarah says they ask for taxes too. They sure do. Not mandatory, but customary, right? It's a custom to do that. This is back from Carmen. She said, I watch you all the time. As a supporter, I feel compelled to ask you to not say things like old people stink. I'm sorry. It's bad taste and unbecoming woman like you. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. Old people don't stink. Old people may have an odor to them that they may not be otherwise privy to unless they're around people. Okay, let me retract that statement. This is from Kay Chantel. I hope I'm saying your name right. So not to mention his former staffer wrote a book saying he still wet the bed. Donald Trump's got a whole hell of a lot of health issues that we should know about, even though I don't think anybody of sound mind is going to vote for him. You have to be a literal lunatic to vote for Donald Trump. Or a billionaire. If you're a lunatic, I could see it. If you're a billionaire, I can also see it, right? You're going to get tax breaks. You're going to get all kinds of stuff, right? But then there's still billionaires who don't support Donald Trump because he's got really high tariffs. Donald Trump's policy doesn't even match his donors. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It doesn't even match his donors. Like one of Donald Trump's biggest donors is a billionaire who owns like 30% of TikTok. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and even his policies don't match his. Guys like, come on, I'm obviously donating to your election so I can save my investment, which is TikTok, And even Donald Trump says questionable things about that. And that guy's like, well, what's going on? And, this is why I'm funding your campaign so you could support me. But even then, so we have to look at Donald Trump's policies and are like, well, who exactly is he campaigning for? He's campaigning for Russia and China. That's who he's campaigning for. He's campaigning for Russia and China. I'm not joking. And Vladimir Putin, he's got one foot in the grave too. A report had came out earlier this year that said that he had stage 4 cancer. That's why no one sees him anymore. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been thinking for a while. I think Vladimir Putin has been dead. Yeah, I do. I do believe that. I do. I do. I do believe that. That's when the CIA report came out and they said, oh, this man's got cancer. And everybody knows Vladimir Putin has a body double. Everybody knows that. Most individuals like Vladimir Putin, who are part of the Kremlin, have body doubles. He definitely does. He most certainly does. And so, but I've been thinking that a long time, like, damn, when was the time we actually saw Vladimir Putin? That man is dead. Big dead. Okay. And so Donald Trump doesn't even know who he's catering to at this point. He has no clue who he's catering to. You could be catering to a body double at this point. But let's get back to this interview.
There are many who playing from green iPhone.
Oh, sorry about that, y'all.
All of this points to an individual who's also quite unstable and unfit to be president of the United States. Those are the stakes at play in this election.
One more thing I want to ask you before you go, and I think it's the fun part. I want to
Okay.
ask you about your plan for Black men.
Yes.
It's something huge
Yes.
that you have just released this
Yes.
week. We're talking about 1 million loans that are fully forgivable, up to $20,000
Right.
to Black entrepreneurs, men and women,
Yes.
correct? Expanding access to bank accounts, expanding the child tax credit, many things that you're
Housing.
doing.
Don't
Housing,
forget my housing.
lowering rent, making it affordable to buy a house for
Yes.
first-time home buyers.
Right.
Talk to me about this
Yes.
plan, just in summary,
Yeah.
and how this will impact not only Black men, but all Black people.
Sure. So look, I grew up in the middle class. My mother worked hard. She saved up. And by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. I will never forget where I came from. Okay, by the way, my opponent, Donald Trump, was handed $400 million basically on a silver platter and filed for bankruptcy 6 times. So just keep that in mind about
The
who's coming
shade.
from where. I know the ambitions, the aspirations, the incredible work ethic that exists in our community. I know the dreams that exist, but not everyone has started out on the same base in terms of being able to realize their goals and their dreams. So my plan is to build what I call an opportunity economy, which means giving people an opportunity to actually achieve those ambitions, those goals, and those dreams. So, for example, housing is too expensive. The American dream is something that previous generations could kind of count on, but no more. So, one part of the problem is that we have a supply issue in terms of housing supply. My plan includes working with developers to do and home builders to create incentives for them to build 3 million new homes by the end of my first term. The second part, which is equally important, if not more, is to give people first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance. Because what you and I know is a lot of folks want to be a homeowner, but they don't come from money. They don't come from some families that can necessarily give them or pass on a home or give them the equity out of their home to help them with the down payment. $25,000 down payment assistance just helps people get their foot in the door to then save up to cover.
Oh, Marie. Okay. My goodness. Okay. Marie said, I'm following because this is propaganda. And if you believe in the Bible and are a Christian, read review. I think you mean Revelations. It warns you. Look, Marie, it's really sad to see you go. You seem like you seem like a swell gal. Okay, Marie, you seem like a swell gal. Okay. But we're talking about democracy, not Jesus Christ. Okay. I understand a lot of people layer religion into politics. The two don't go together. The founding fathers were indeed not religious. Okay. They were not. So the fact that there's this layer of, the Bible can warn us about a lot of things, but what it doesn't warn us about, or what it does warn us about, is seeing with your eyes. I have eyes and ears. I can hear Donald Trump talk. He doesn't whisper to me at night. He doesn't send me messages through carrier pigeons through my window. When he says very blatant racist stuff, he says it. When he called Haiti a shithole country, he said that. We heard it. Okay? We heard those things. When he said that legal individuals who are here on visas and individuals who are US citizens, but who happen to be of Haitian descent, were eating cats and dogs, was racist. I don't need to read Revelations to hear those things. So if you're going to unfollow me, please do. It'll just save you the headache of never having to hear me speak about the truth. And this is why we don't discuss politics, because so many people are trying to intertwine religion when the fact is there. I don't have to read Revelations to understand Donald Trump is a staunch racist who does not support people who look like me. Now, he might support people who look like you, and that might be why you vote for him. And that is your prerogative. You can do that. But I'm not going to be forced to vote for something in your best interest when you don't vote for anything that is in my best interest. Okay? So, to be fair, it's just easier for you to unfollow me, and you can vote for a staunch racist, and I will vote on the other side. And we will both be able to cast our votes, whether mine be based in reality or yours is based in religion, Marie. Okay? So we're going to finish out this interview, and then we're going to get back to your comments. Okay, thank you guys.
Mortgage, $6,000 child tax credit. I'm expanding the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families so that in the first year of their child's life, they have the resources they need to buy a crib, a car seat, clothes, knowing that all parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not all parents have the resources to be able to do that. Opportunity. Small businesses. My second mother, our second mother, who helped raise us, was a small business owner. I know who our small business owners are. They, for our communities, they are part of the cultural, economic, civic fabric of our communities. They hold the strength of hiring locally, mentoring, all that. So I'm going to change so that the tax deduction for a startup small business, change it from what it is, it's $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000 to $50,000. And included in that, knowing that a lot of startup businesses then have overhead around, for example, what they need to do to buy equipment. For those who are startup and don't have the connections historically, a $20,000 forgivable loan for them to be able, for example, to pay to set up a really good website so that their business could then thrive.
With PPP loans and how, a mess, some people were involved with that, the PPP loans and fraud and all of that?
Fraud, listen, I spent a career prosecuting people for fraud. So we will take care of the abuses, but that's not a reason to not give people an opportunity to thrive. I think there is a real misconception that people just, and only their highest aspiration is to have a job. That's not where I come from in terms of how I think of it. The baseline should be everybody has a job. What we should be doing is creating incentives for people to be able to build wealth. And
she's right. As a small business owner, I have every incentive to vote for this woman because I could use that $50,000 to build my business. I could actually hire an assistant so I can focus more on you guys, the people. You know what I mean? I could do that. I could easily use that $50,000 as a small media company to be able to give internships to interns at the university, more interns, more than one intern. I would love to be able to do that, but I can't do that now because I can't get a small business loan. I mean, I could, but would it be forgivable if I failed? I want those sort of safety measures, even though I wouldn't fail, but I'd want that. You understand what I'm trying to say? So yeah, I'm gonna vote for her, even if y'all don't like her. I could use those $50,000 for my business. You know what I mean? I could use those. I could really rebuild, and she's right. I could really rebuild my website. My website looks like shit. And I would really love to rebuild it, but it costs thousands of dollars to rebuild. You know what I mean? So I understand why a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to vote this way. Hey, I'm voting for the money. Okay. I'm voting for the cash ola. I'm voting for the cash ola. Okay. I'm just saying I could pay out of my pocket right now, but boy, would it be sweet to be able to apply for a small business loan as a small business and be able to get that loan. Okay. Said nosy merch, get ready for it. That's what I'm saying. I can actually launch my cozy bystander merch that I've been trying to launch for the last few weeks. You know, I'm just saying, come on, that part. Okay. Come on now. It's from how do you pronounce your name? Is it Naimi? Said, girl, if I had to known how would be gladly be your assistant. Well, look, y'all, got to wait for me to get the loan. Okay. What's up, Yasleen? How you doing? This interview is almost done, you guys.
Build intergenerational wealth. But again, knowing that not everybody starts out on the same base, but when you give them a little bit to just compete, they will work around the clock, good ideas, innovative ideas. And when they have just that little bit extra, it gives them what they need to actually get in there and compete and thrive. Mm-hmm. That's the $20,000. That's the theory behind the $20,000 forgivable loan for people at a certain threshold, to just give them the resources, like I said, to start up a website, to buy the equipment they need, depending on the kind of business that they're creating, so that that's not the barrier to what otherwise is going to be their incredible work ethic and hustle to actually make a success out of their smart idea that actually has relevance to the community.
Wow. We are watching. Thank you so much, Vice President Kamala Harris, for joining us. It's so important that you're here talking with us. Black media is so important.
Of course, always.
Well, that was a very interesting interview with VP Kamala. I thought it was a good interview. I mean, I thought she threw some digs and some jabs, but she really told us what her initiative and her plan is for Black people, specifically Black men, but most importantly, Black people, Black business owners, Black first-time home buyers, low-income first-time home buyers, not just Black, but all people who are trying to get into the first-time home market. You know what I mean? I've never owned a home. I would love to own a home. You know what I mean? And my partner, we could totally use that $25,000 for our first down payment. Like, there's a lot of things, right? Like the lady Marie said, oh, well, read Revelations. Okay, she's reading Revelations because she's a white woman. So she's going to read Revelations because her life is probably all bubblegum and roses, why she's voting for Donald Trump. I'm not reading Revelations to vote for Donald Trump. I'm reading the good book of my wallet to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay. So if you don't like it, that's your business. You got to vote for your best interest. I'm not voting for no best interest of no white person. I'm being real straight up and down with you. I'm being real straight up and down with you. I'm not voting in the best interest of no white person living in the 3,000 square foot home valued at $3 million. I'm not voting for you. I'm voting for myself. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my condo, but I would love to get a bigger home, So I'm voting in the best interest of Steph. Okay. And I suggest you guys do the same. But that's all I have for you guys today. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here at the Nosy Bystanders Live. I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. Please, if you can, like the live on your way out. Please don't be ignorant. And please return back tomorrow for more, whatever this is. Okay. You guys have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.